Hello everybody, in today's episode we're going to be talking about Theosophy, an amazing school of thought that discusses life, form, and its evolution. So with that being said, we're going to look in today's episode at the difference between science and Theosophy and how it deals with the topic or subject of evolution. So the title of today's episode is The Evolution of Science versus the Evolution of Theosophy. So Theosophy and science deal with discoverable laws of nature but tabulate them differently. Theosophy takes into account additional facts which science has not yet discovered or have just simply ignored. It has different views on evolution than science, but it accepts the scientific theory of evolution. C. Jinnarajadasa's book, The First Principle of Theosophy, says that no eye of man ever saw the beginning of the world, nor has it continuously watched it to the present day. So what has been observed is that from a homogeneous, indefinite, and simple state, life has become heterogeneous, definite, and more complex. In other words, socially we see that chaos turns into cosmos, or cosmically we see this. Lawlessness becomes law socially, and what it postulates is that everything disorderly will eventually try and find or make order. Now, evolution is still at its best a hypothesis, a theory that seems plausible to most, but it has one gloomy aspect to it, and that is our human role in this timeless drama of evolution. See, what Theosophy says that science doesn't is that eventually we all die. So how is this natural process to be considered a part of evolution? In other words, how is it that dropping from this whole game of life, how does the idea of evolution encapsulate such an idea of death? Because death in no way means progress, right? We can even see this in history. Why do great civilizations like Greek and Rome die out? Theosophy essentially looks at the evolution of life through the evolution of forms. It also recognizes finer types of matters that are beyond the five senses. See, many forms of energy exist as well that are just waiting to be realized. And a major form of this energy that acts in conjunctions with all these extra-physical lives of extra-physical matter or ultra-physical states of matter is called life. Now, it is this life energy that Theosophy recognizes that allows everything to happen the way it does in the world. An example of this is if a plant dies, the life which makes it a plant does not die. In essence, there is some kind of force which still remains when the form of it has disintegrated. If we look at a rose which withers in dust, its particles are just converted into another form, right? It doesn't necessarily lose everything, it's just converted, as we know from the law of conservation of energy. So similarly, by using the same principle, we just have to think in another form or in the extra-physical states of matter which Theosophy has analyzed. What it's saying is that any form that dies withdraws for a time and reappears later to build a better version for itself. So in essence, death is very much a part of evolution. The experiences that the form gains in its first life will help it evolve further in its next life. So death is essentially a very, very vital part of evolution in Theosophy. To know more about the evolution of life and form, as discussed in this wonderful and complex school, stay tuned for the next video where we discuss the mechanics of how and why this happens and how it furthers our or man's evolution and what's next in store for mankind. Thank you for watching another episode with me, Amrit. I hope you enjoyed the content that we have provided for you. Stay tuned for more. Thank you.